Luzzato family and the history of the different personalities that actually developed from the family. Remember, the Luzzato family is the family also very much which the Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzato, was part of. We're going to explore this family tree at the end. So we've also spoken about Shadal before, Rabbi Samuel Luzzato also. So we're going to explore who were some of the rabbis in the family, who were, let's say, some of the poets and other personalities that were very much connected to this family name of Italian, let's say, mostly Italian scholars, so on and so forth over here in this special edition over here. Now we know the name. Okay, so it's actually interesting. I found this article actually online where this article actually features also a family tree to it, which is makes it extra interesting. The name, it's a name of a family of Italian scholars, this is what the article says, whose genealogy can be traced back to the first half of the 16th century. According to a tradition communicated by, I think, the Shadal, Rabbi Samuel Luzzato, the family descends from, according to him, from a German who immigrated into Italy from the province of Luzzato, or who's named, let's say, Luzzato or Luzzato. It was, I think, a place, and I think the name of Luzzati, for example, was one branch of this family bears, let's just say. I think it can also be traced, let's just say, back to the plural of Luciati, the German rite, let's just say credibly reported to have been observed in the family synagogue, Scuola Luzzato in Venice. Now, I think there might be other opinions also, because most people, if I'm not mistaken, would have held that the Luzzato family originated from Sephardi origin over here, but this is what's chronicled over here in this article, which I'm reading at, which I recommend everyone actually to look into. This was kindly sent to me by somebody. Now, they say the earliest member of the family whom there is record of is someone named Abraham Luzzato. He lived in Tzfat at the beginning of the 16th century. Remember, Tzfat was a famous place of yesteryear where many great rabbis and Kabbalists came from. His descendants can be grouped, let's just say, with some degree of probability in a specific pedigree, which we're going to look at the end. We're going to look at what is the potential, or what is seemingly the family tree, actually chronicled over in the Jewish encyclopedia.com within regards to the family. Now, first, let's just say personality from the Luzzato family we're going to look at over here. Someone named Benedetto Luzzato, also known as Baruch Luzzato in Hebrew. He was a poet and a preacher, let's say Italian. He flourished especially in the 17th century time period in Padua. Remember, that was a famous place. He was a chief rabbi towards the close of his time. He united Talmudic learning with classic scholarship, etc., and was very well versed in history and in philosophy, especially. I think come with 1636, he would write, I think, finish, like, say, the Italian sonnet at that point in time. I think for his friend, his name was Emmanuel Porto Rapa. He had mathematical treatises, this guy, Porto Astronomico. Now, Rabbi Baruch Luzzato was highly esteemed by, let's say, contemporary scholars. And he had a connection with Giovanni Weslingio, who was a friend of his, and Rabbi Leon Meduna, I think, one of his list among his pupils, Talmidim, at that point in time. I think there's this is what the Shadal actually chronicles about him. Then another one, Beniamino Luzzato. He was a physician, and he was born in Padua in the year 1850. He passed away reportedly in the year 1893. He was a son of Rav Samuel David Luzzato. He was educated, I think, in his native town in the university. He would go on to become a physician and a general in a hospital. I think in 1876 he was a lecturer of pathology, and in 1882 he was assistant professor and chief of the clinic in Padua University. He wrote essays, chronicled over, on different topics, especially on the apex of the heart, chronic broncho pneumonia. He would speak about other, let's say, conditions, tuberculosis. I think that will be published in Milan in the year 1876. So he was another famous person inside the family. Then, so we've spoken about Benedetto and Beniamino. Another person on the family line was Ephraim Luzzato, another famous, very famous person which many people would be familiar with. He was also an Italian physician, a poet, and I think he was born at San Daniel in Frio. I think this was in the year 1729, and he passed away in Lausanne in Switzerland in 1792. Ephraim did. He studied medicine once again in the University of Padua, and he graduated, I think, in 1751. He would practice in Italy for some years. I think eventually in 1763, Ephraim would settle in London. He'll be appointed a physician in the hospital there, or the Portuguese congregation. And in 1792, he left London on his way to Italy when he passed away. Over there, it's reported over. He was highly gifted Hebrew poet. He had, let's say, a talent and success in national, mythological, moral, and amorous themes, and had a vocabulary of a very, very, very highest caliber, let's just say. He was, yes, that's very interesting. He wrote a book called Ele Bene Han Urim, I think poems on various subjects. I think this was in London in the year 1766. And another work called the Kol Shahal, I think in Berlin in 1796. And I think another edition, which actually been published in the year 1839 after he passed away. So he was another person inside the family. Now, let's continue the family line. There was another person's name, I hope I pronounce it right, I think Floseno or Philoxene Luzzato. So who was he? He was once again an Italian scholar. He was. And we're going to speak more just about him. I hope I pronounce his name correctly over here. So remember, this is a family line where there was other great rabbis from the family, like the Ramchal and Shadal. So if you're watching this article now, please watch your space. We're going to speak about him in a minute. So who was Flosino? He was an Italian scholar. He was once again also I believe the son of Shadal, Rabbi Shmuel Luzzato. He was born in 1829, and I think he passed away in the year 1854. He was. And his surname is the Italian equivalent of the title of one of his father's principal works, Oheb Ger, I believe, which was written, I think, at the time of Floseno's birth. He mastered several European languages. He would study Semitic languages. For example, he was quite well known. He wrote other different writings in of it. And he did pass away at a young age, I think about 25, 26 years of age. Now, Isaiah Luzzato, he's part of the family tree. He was born in Padua in 1836, passed away in 1898. Once again, I believe the son of Rav Shmuel Luzzato. He would graduate from law in his native city. He was an attorney, I think, of the principal Jewish families of the community. I think sadly he suffered from illnesses and various troubles also. He would write, I think he was in battle in Lignano at one point in time. He wrote various books, let's just say, as a guide of publication for his father's writings. Remember, we're going to speak his father, Rav Shmuel Luzzato, in a few minutes. So he was very well known in his day and age. Now, another person from the family tree who we are going to speak about is Jacob ben Isaac Luzzato. He was an Oriental rabbi, a preacher. He was once again in Tzfat, especially in the second half of the 16th century, in the 1500s. And I think he spent time in Venice. He passed away on April the 13th in the year 1587. He was about 60 years of age over there. He was once again another person that was a scholar here in the Luzzato, famous Luzzato family over here. And he would be the author of various different works, I think, also. He would, Jacob would. I think, especially, I think the Yeshresh Yaakov, for example, that was printed in Basel in 1580, and Sefer Hasidim, 165 Haggadot, explained according to Rashi. Tosfot, let's just say he would write, I think, Midrashim, he would be commentating on Kabbalistic topics, also. The Haggaot, he would do, let's say, write Haggaot towards different explanatory notes with regards to Talmud that was printed in Basel in the year 1570. He also wrote the Kilat Yaakov in Salonika in the year 1584. I think Sefer HaMofo'ar in Krakow in 1570. And other works also, something else, in the year 1581. Now, we're going to speak about the famous Moshe Chaim Luzzato, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzato, another great rabbi. Probably the most famous from the Luzzato family. He was an Italian Kabbalist. He was a poet. He was born in the year 1707. He passed away in Accra in the year 1747. His father was a wealthy merchant. Rav Yaakov Luzzato. His mother was also a descendant of the Luzzato family. He was educated by his father in Latin and other languages, it's reported over. At the age he was about 13 years old, he would learn the Talmud Torah in his native city and was widely known through the teachings of Rav Yehuda Mintz. And various different, he had connections with other rabbis he was learned from. Rabbi Isaiah Bassani, for example, Rabbi Yitzchak Chaim Kohen de Kantarini, and they were very close, respectively, also over there. For example, Rabbi Benjamin HaKohen Vital of Regio, for example, he was a pupil of Rabbi Moses Zakuto, the father-in-law of Rabbi Bassani, and had huge influence, I think, on Rabbi Luzzato's development as a Kabbalist, as a poet. He would soon take up learning Rabbi Yitzchak Luri's, the Arizal's works, and master the practical Kabbalah, let's just say, instructed former teachers in, let's just say, its mysteries in a school which he opened in his house after Rabbi Bassini had moved to Reggio. More can be said within regards to him, a lot more. The Kabbalah, it attracted, let's just say, Rabbi Luzzato more than did, let's say, his science and poetry. He enjoyed, had a special flavor and a heavenly genius, it's described, like a Maggid, which suffered divine revelations, let's just say. It's reported over here in the article. Much can be spoken within regards to it. Various different published works there will be. He would write many, many different Torah colossal works, and Ramchal would. Respectively, I think, for example, while he would visit, for example, Rabbi Bassini in Reggio, there was a scholar named Rabbi Raphael Israel Kimhi, who was author of the Avodat Israel, came to Padua for a few days, and Rabbi Luzzato's disciples showed him the masters of Rabbi Luzzato's writing, and he would guard, let's say, this discovery while in Padua, but at Venice he told of it. Rabbi Luzzato's reputation as a Kabbalist would spread far and wide, attracting many, many different students, especially while I think many people would honor him in great ways and realize the greatness within regards to it. I think in that earlier time periods, none of the works were actually published at the stage in time, and Rabbi Yitzchak Marini and Rabbi Yisrael Trevis were initiated, let's just say, by Rabbi Luzzato's historic doctrine, and wanted to meet him for Kabbalistic discussion, let's just say, Chavruta. And I think it's actually, yes, that he would become very, very well known at that point in time. He did have opposition, let's just say, from other rabbis, I think, especially, I think, during the time period of 1729, if I'm not mistaken, and they would look into him. I think famously, Rabbi Moshe Hagiz, if I'm not mistaken, he would actually try and investigate with regards to the various works that he had, let's just say. Remember, we were talking about Rabbi Moshe Hagiz on various occasions before. Rabbi Moshe Hagiz was very distressed because of all the revelations of the Shabtai Tzvi, so he would look into various different rabbis. I think he was one of them. Let's say, for example, I think, so I would recommend everyone to look more into that with regards to that. He was renowned, though, for his brilliant and Kabbalistic activity. He was, let's just say, very, very well known. I believe it's reported over he would get married to the daughter of Rabbi David Mantua, who was a great rabbi, and he would help in his business affairs of his relatives. This is what's chronicled over. And many people had attraction within regards to Kabbalah. He composed Kabbalistic works, Klelim Rishonim leHochmat Ha'emet, Tfilah ve'Shira Geulot Mitzrayim, Tfilah ve'Shir al Matan Torah, and the other colossal works in of itself. And many people would have known about the published works of his, and it became very, very famous, I believe, throughout different times. I think there were some rabbis from Venice, I think in 1734, that would not necessarily support his works also, which I recommend everyone to look into that. Now, I think eventually he would have to leave Italy. People were questioning the works, and let's just say he would now embark on a journey to Amsterdam, the Ramchal would, and he was received there with great honor, especially in the prominent house of the prominent Rab Moses de Chavez, whose son he taught, and the Sephardic community offered him a salary. But because he wanted personal independence, I think, he supported himself by grinding, let's say, optical lenses, it's reported over. Most of his spare time was devoted to study and teaching. I was able to send for his wife, son, and parents, who likewise were cordially received. He would have correspondence with Rabbi Sani, also in Amsterdam over there at that point in time, corresponding with many of the great rabbis at that point in time. His reputation in Amsterdam was increasing so much. He would win friendship with the foremost men over there. He would do great activity as a teacher, continuous Kabbalistic works. He would publish famously the work, the Mesilat Yesharim in 1740. Let's just say a popular survey of religious ethics. So we're just continuing with regards to Ramchal, exploring the family tree of Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzato over here. The Mesilat Yesharim in 1740 was a book. The Ma'amah HaChoba, Ma'amah Al HaGadot, this is Derech Hashem, Derech Chochmah, the Yesharim Tehillah. These were other great works over there. And I think initially he would only have about 50 copies printed, but more Torah writings of his will be printed. He lived quietly and comfortably, I think, in Amsterdam for 10 years. He would make a short trip also to London at one stage in time, and that was also something very much chronicled over in different points in time. Now, we're going to cut it short over here. This is the first part of the family line of the Luzzato family. We're going to do this in two different sections. So what's a good opportunity over here is to continue. Hopefully we're going to do it in the next hour. We're going to continue the family line of the Luzzato family and look at the family tree also over here. And maybe we'll just do a bit of Chazara also once we start the video. We'll do a few minutes of Chazara of what we've actually picked up in this 16-minute session, which has been abbreviated over here. So watch your space to hear more about the Luzzato rabbinic family. Friends, we're a community. We're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear. We're exploring various different rabbinic family trees of the great rabbis of yesteryear. So everyone, watch this space. Subscribe to the channel. We're nearing 7,000 subscribers. I'm wishing you well here from Israel. Just recording this from the holy city of Jerusalem. And Bez Hashem, we'll just see blessings for everyone. Wishing you all a great day and take care. Thanks for watching.